Now, in the last video, I told you about the conversation that went on among the 7 conspirators who removed Smerdis, the imposter, from power. And I told you one of them who was pushing for democracy, that's Otanis, after he realized that the other 6 were keen on, or I had agreed that monarchy was the best government that the Persians should have, had decided to remove himself from the contest. He knew that the king was going to come out of the 7 of them, but he decided to remove himself, and then under the condition that he was not going to be under the rule of the king. Now, with Otanis out of the contest, there was Interphanes, Gobrias, Megabesus, Asphantines, Hydanis, and Darius, the son of Hystaspes. Now, Darius, remember in a video I did a while back, is the guy who Cyrus the Great had dreamt that he was plotting to be the king. And he wanted to come back and investigate him, thinking that there was something Darius was doing at that point. And Darius was very young then. He was like 19, 20, 21 years old. He was very young. And in fact, he didn't know anything about that. He was just a young man living his life. But Cyrus the Great, while going to fight the Massagetae, a tribe east of Persia, dreamt that this young man, by then Darius' father, Hystaspes, worked for Cyrus the Great. So he calls Hystaspes and tells him, I dreamt that your son is conspiring against my government. And Hystaspes is confused. The young boy doesn't seem like one who will do something like that. Cyrus sends Hystaspes to go back home and take care of the boy until the king comes back so that he can call him in front of him and interrogate him. But before that could happen, Cyrus the Great died. So he didn't get the opportunity to interrogate Darius. But Darius was innocent by then. He's just a young man. But now, several years later, several decades later, Darius is has conspired with other Persians, and they've removed an imposter from the throne. And now he's in the contest to be the king. Now he's one of the 6 after Otanis removes himself. Now the 6 of them have a conversation, and they are trying to decide, how are we going to elect one of us to be the king? So they talk, and then they come to this conclusion. They say, what we're going to do to identify who amongst us is going to be the king is that we will wake up early in the morning and we ride our horses out of the city very early in the morning before the sun rises. And the person whose horse will neigh first will become our king. They agreed on that, and everybody was like, yeah, that sounds like a fair way to pick a king from the 6 of us. Nobody's going to complain that anything happened. Now, when they separate, now that this thing is going to happen the next morning, Darius calls one of his servants, a guy called Oebares. He calls Oebares, they have a private conversation, and he tells Oebares, you know what? Tomorrow we're going to select the person who's going to be the king of Persia. And this is how we want to do it, or this is how we're going to do that. We're going to ride out of the city in the morning before the sun rises on our horses. And the person whose horse neighs first is going to be the king of Persia. So Oebares listens and is like, oh, my master, don't worry. If that's how you people are going to pick the king, I know how to take care of that. So I'm going to take care of that, and you're going to be the king. So Oebares goes, he takes the horse. No, he first takes a mare, female horse. He takes it somewhere just slightly out of the city. He ties on a tree, and then he comes, he picks the horse that Darius is going to ride the next morning. He takes it and moves it around the female horse, the mare, around, then he allows them to come they copulate. Is that the right word to use? But Herodotus is told that it was done in another way. Now, before I say that, let me continue with what happened. So, after he had done that, he returned the horse, both the mare and the horse. It removed them from that place, and he knew that tree was right on the way that Darius and the other five would be riding through. So what he was trying to do, he was trying to give the horse some kind of memory with a place, so that when the horse comes there, it remembers the mare and then it neighs. So the next morning, Darius and the other five, they take their horses, they start riding towards out of the town, but they are passing near the tree that the horse had been taken at night with the mare. And when the horse reaches there, it of course remembers what happened there yesterday night, and it starts running and it neighs. And they're like, see, now we have a king. Darius is the king. And the others come down and they kneel before him, and they're like, Darius is the king, and he becomes a king. Herodotus is told a different. That's one story was told. The other story was told is that Oebares was going to ride next, not really ride, walk next to the horse that Darius was riding. You remember, Oebares is his servant. What Oebares did, he went and I don't know how to put this. He went and used his hand to touch a mare, I guess the private parts of the female horse, and he hid his hand. So when they were, as Darius was riding with these other guys, Oebares put his hand near the nose of the horse. Of course, the horse smelled the mare, yes, and it neighed, and Darius became the king. So Darius became the king, and then he set up a sculpture in Susa. The sculpture was of a horse with someone riding it, and it had the following words inscripted on it: Darius, sons of Hystaspes, by aid of his good horse and his good groom, Oebares, got himself the kingdom of the Persians. Yeah, so that's how Darius became the king, and he went on to become, as we know, as is mostly referred to in history as Darius. I think it's Darius the Great, if I'm not wrong.